3. We're live, Mr. Wade. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affair Show number 277. 277. Uh, we're grateful for your tuning in tonight, and we're hoping that we'll have something worthy of your time to bring to you as a public benefit effort. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'm not the chairman for tonight's show, but I'll act as temporary chairman until the chairman shows up. We have I have with me our senior panelist, Mr. Roody Wade, and I'll just he has offered to do the reading for us tonight. So I'll proceed with doing the prayer, and then I'll yield to Mr. Wade for the reading. I'll just bow my head. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth, and all that in them are, thou who art our creator as well, we come to thee asking that thou would give us health, courage, strength, perseverance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We pray that thou must bless our family members, each and every one of them. Thou knowest them by name and number, wherever they are. We pray that thou must bless our friends and loved ones, and we pray that thou must also bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, as well as this country of the United States, its people and leadership. Please be merciful unto us, as well as we pray that thou must grant those people who are in war zones, in tornado zones, in fire zones, in earthquake zones, and all manner of pestilence on the face of this earth. We pray that thou must be with us, guide us, and protect us, for we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you,
Amen.
Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
It's always a pleasure to sit in your company.
The pleasure
And
is
like you
mine as well,
says,
Mr. Wade.
we await the chairman for tonight, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Um, and like you had informed our listening audience that you will be guided until then,
Yes, sir.
until he shows up. And it's always a pleasure, my brother. On our Belizean Affairs show number 277, Leonard,
Yes,
I like
sir.
to see those numbers there. We really providing a lot of service, a lot of information. We have had departed through this 277, sure, over the
Yes,
years,
sir.
right? And just hopefully that it benefits Leonard, it benefits our viewing public, and the people who tune into our program. I hope that they learn something from our program, Leonard. You
Yes, sir.
know, Let's, so on that note, Leonard, I'm gonna do a reading, and it's from Isaiah 42, 1 to 5. It reads, "Behold my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nation. He will not cry aloud or lift up his voice or make it heard in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and a faintly burning wick he will not quench. He will faithfully bring forth justice. He will not grow faint or be discouraged until he has established justice in the earth, and the coastlands wait for his law. Thus says God, The Lord who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it and spirit to those who walk in it. I am the Lord. I have called you in righteousness. I will take you by the hands and keep you. I will give you a covenant for the people, a light for the nation, to open the eyes that are blind, to bring out the prisoners from the dungeons, from the prisons, those who sit in darkness. I am the Lord, that is my name, my glory. I give no other, nor my praise to carved idols. Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I know declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Sing to the Lord a new song, his praise from the end of the earth. You go down, who go down to the sea, and all that fills it, the coastland and their inhabitants. That's my reading from Isaiah chapter 42, 1 to 10.
Thank you very much, sir. Um, I don't see our chairman yet, so I'll just give me one more second, Mr. Wade. Could you? I,
Yes, sir.
I just want to finish lunch. I'm already almost finished.
Yes, sir.
Just give me
My
one couple of
people,
seconds.
I always talk about our public safety, the public safety, lots of traffic accidents. Again, I always talk about these accidents that happens on pretty much a daily basis. Um, be mindful on the highways. Again, because our highways are in deplorable conditions, same as our streets in the towns and in the city. So be very mindful. And those of you on these two-wheel bicycle, motorbikes, be very mindful. You have no protection. When you hit something, that's it. Or when something hits you, that's it. It's flesh against these metal. So be very mindful. We see a lot of fatalities, you know. So be very mindful on the highways. And I call on the gangs, the so-called gangs in Belize City and around the country that call themselves gangs and those who are affiliated with these groups and those who, pick up these guns and shoot innocent people. Be very mindful, that, what goes around comes around. If you do something, if you do harm to someone, just expect that someone may do harm to you, right? So if you do harm to someone, don't think that it will go to rest, right? That same person or that person, family or friend, will come and get some revenge, right? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So, just be very, very mindful, you guys that call yourself gangs, right? So I know that it's not nice to be walking and be looking over your shoulder, or looking at every corner. Should it be that way? No. You should be able to walk around your country freely, without disturbance, without hindrance, right? But again, you must have a reason why you're looking over your shoulder. So if you do bad, or you hurt someone, just remember that in the blink of an eye, you could get your reward. And when that happens, it will be your reward. If you hurt no one, no ill feelings to no one, so you should walk without fear. And in our country are seeing too many murders. You know, we are a country that is infected with drugs and you know cartels, um, mafia people. You know, so and let's not forget, a lot of these kinds of things that are happening up north. Some very gruesome murders lately, right? It all boiled down to drugs and the cartels, right? Don't let no ghost fool you. Drugs and the cartels infested in the north. So they're talking about another SOE. It's been talked about, so look out. But I would like to say through this medium, don't do it in the south side, Mr. PUP government, Mr. Government, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Police Minister, Mr. Whoever sits on this committee that comes up with the brilliant idea to pass a state of emergency. Pass it in the north. Analyze all the activities that happen up there, right? And pass a state of emergency between Corozal and Orange Walk, right? And you might, be doing the country a good service. At one point, this same prime minister, this same Johnny Briceño prime minister had allotted, I think it was 90 million, all right? No, 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 not 90 million, 900,000, I think, to fight in the name of the drugs and cartels up north. 90,000, right? He gave that to the police to fight cartels and drugs up in the north. There must be a reason why he did that. Did it go away? No. So, Mr. Man, do something about it and leave the little south side, little few little, and sadly, the system knows who these bad boys is because it was verbally said. We know who they are. We know who the bad boys are. The little bad black kids. We know who they are, right? They are known individuals, right? Leave them alone. Go up north, fight the bigger boys, the cartels with the bigger guns and more drugs. So on that note, I want to go back to you there, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Uh, for tonight, until the chairman shows up, um, I'll want to continue the reading that we have been doing for a few days now, and hopefully get a little closer to the ending of this particular essay, because it is still relevant and germane to what's going on in the country currently and what is coming down in a rush that we'll have to deal with when it reaches us. Item number 4 on this particular essay, I went on to say, to which the Constitution of Belize, Part 2, Chapter 10 of the Referendum Act, uh, subsection 2, notwithstanding subsection 1, which mandates that a referendum shall, not may or could or should, but shall, is a commandment, it's a mandate, it's a mandamus from we, the people, by virtue of it being enshrined in our Constitution, to tell whoever is the government of the day, whether PUP, UDP, or whichever, that a, a referendum shall be held on the following issues. For example, A. Any amendments to part any amendments to part 2 of this Constitution which derogates, that is to say, take away from the fundamental human rights and civil rights and freedom guaranteed therein, that is to say, under Part 2, Section 3, all the way through Section 19 with Section 20 for judicial review, to make sure that the government does not violate any of those um, inalienable rights that are vested in the people and that the government have no power or authority over, except if somebody commits a crime, then they forfeit their liberty to the legal system. And even when somebody commits a crime, the legal system, as per our Constitution, demands that they do not get mistreated, as we have seen over and over on the TV, where people are being beaten with gun butts, beaten with baseball bats, and all kind of other craziness by the police officers. Police officers are not empowered to be police, uh, judges, jury, and executioner all in one. Their job is to take into custody criminals or people who are accused of criminal conduct and to turn them over for the system, the judiciary system, to render justice. Because even after they are declared culpable for the crimes that they commit, it is not the police officers that are being given the privilege to exercise vengeance or um, justice on any individual. It is the legal system. It is the correction, um, um, the prison and the correction groups that are then vested with that power to take these people into custody and hold them until their term of that they are judged expires, and then they turn them loose. But I just want to read another little part here right now. It says there, to the citizenry of Belizeans at home and abroad. That is, in other words, your fundamental rights are guaranteed and enshrined in the Constitution, and neither the government or anybody else can violate them or should violate them. Of course, we have had scenarios where the government have violated people's constitutional right and we have taken them to task on it. But because nobody take them to jail or take them to court, they continue to violate people's personal freedom and rights. And then they want to come to us and tell us that, oh, they want to change the Constitution so they can violate those rights some more under the color of law. I read the next paragraph, and it went on to say, in order to derogate civil rights that are not appropriately acquired or duly vested, constitutionally imbued, and forbidden of the legislature to arbitrary and capriciously derogate, on which are being passed off as legitimate amendments, alterations to the Constitution of Belize, which are the which are then incorporated subsequently into future revisions of the Constitution of Belize. These and thereby then constitute a grave travesty of the highest uh, magnitude, and therein ultravirus the Constitution of Belize negatively. That is to say, some of our government officials have this tendency or penchant for for creating SIs, statutory instruments, or SOEs, state of emergencies, or they create SIs, as in the case where they went and created SI to go and battle with the cane farmers and BSI issues. And had they done that SI correctly, they would have won that case, because it is the responsibility of the government to look after the interests and well-being of the people and populace. Now the Prime Minister has that particular cane farming and sugar industry grabbed under his portfolio as well, when he has already gone and suborned the powers of the country in meetings that he had abroad with the owners of that factory. That is to say, it's not under any other minister right now other than himself. And he has already spoken against the people. He has already acted in bad faith against the people. So for all intents and purposes now he has them strangled. Uh, I'll read another paragraph of the same issue. The, I went on to say the Belize legislature or Congress, that is to say, the Belize House of Representatives and the Belize Senate and the members or the Belize government cabinet or the Belize government departments are sworn to faithfully uphold and abide fidelity to the Belize Constitution or the laws, not to abrogate or violate or scarfed at or disregard with impunity any of the prescripts of the preamble or the Constitution of Belize. I also went on to say the Constitution of Belize does unequivocally and effectively admonishes and bars the Belize legislature from making any laws contravening its original intent or the original intent of the Constitution, especially for political mischief making. The legislature is not empowered unto itself, even with the affirming votes of all 31 members in the Belize House of Representatives. That is to say, even if they have 100% of the members voting to create an unconstitutional law, that law is still unconstitutional. To arbitrarily and capriciously make laws contravening specific precepts or prescriptive parts of the Belize Constitution as a empo- a self empower a self empowering and self preserving living document, which is what our constitution is, by which they are commanded. For example, when it says shall make no laws inconsistent with the Constitution of Belize. Its original intent or the preamble thereof. There are some other paragraphs that I still need to go through to complete the whole of this exercise. I'm almost there, probably 4 paragraphs away, but I won't go on to read those right now. I will just defer to Mr. Wade to have Mr. Wade contribute any of his own thoughts or ideas in regards to these matters that I was reading about just now. I yield to you, Mr. Wade.
Uh, the a lot of us in this country, Leonard, is kind of you know don't know our rights. You know, um, you know the the authorities and the powers vested up to them. You know, a lot of times they overuse it, they overdo it, right? And then
Very true.
we the people, most of us do not know when they are doing that to us, when they are abusing their power, right? When they're doing you harm or injustice, right? So my simple uh, plea right now is to plead to you, my Belizean people, get a copy of your constitution, right? And when you have a little time, read a little at a time. This week you read a little, and next week you read a little, and before you know it, you read and you will understand. Then you will say, well, damn, I remember when I was walking the street and then the police do me this and he do me that and he, right, and did this to me. And now I realize that, they were abusing their power, right?
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have done what they did to me. But the fact is that they already did it, right? So to 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 better that, I say get a copy of your constitution. So when they come with you with all that crap and they abuse you verbally and physically, because that's what some of them do. I see it with my own 2 eyes. And again, they go to court and lie on you,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I know they talk nothing that, you know. And last time I said, there are people, Mr. Chairman, that a lot of our people in jail serving time, and thus most of, I would say most, some of them are innocent. Innocent.
It's a
They
travesty.
catch you in a situation. I have a couple of friends. These friends, not too, and this case is going on for maybe over 3 years now. These friends were on a outdoor activity. Why I say this? Because that very same day, Mr. Chairman, my friend came to me and he said, Brother Wade, let's go make we take one spotlight and go have a little fun. That's Saturday. God is good though. I told my friend, I said, man, you should have called me a little bit earlier, right? Then I would have been prepared. I think because you guys want to go now. And lo and behold, Mr. Chairman, my friend left with a couple other guys, went to do a little recreation, a little outdoor activities, and they were arrested because For some mysterious reason, that very same night, a plane landed in the Mountain Pine Ridge area, a drug plane. And because they were in that area, enjoying themselves, when they come out back, Mr. Chairman, they were held, arrested, do a number of, they took away my friend's vehicle, they confiscate whatever they had in that vehicle. No drugs, nothing that concerned that plane. Going for 4 years, innocent, still going to court as I speak. Huh? Come up with a whole lot of shenanigans, lied. The system lied, right? From top to bottom, lied. All they wanted was a scapegoat. They knew who because the system had helped in that landing of that plane. They knew damn well who was the culprit, right? But because, just imagine I had went on that same expedition with them, that I would have been going to court today as I speak. Well, they would have jailed me. So wait, oh, you talk one lot, you this, you that, you that. No, got you. I would have been innocent. So why I say this is because I know it happens. I have friends who have been arrested and charged innocently, right? And my poor friend has to sell this, sell that, just to get representation. Is that fair to my friend? Could he beat the system? No, he can't beat the system, because the whole system, from the judge to the police department to everyone, is in cahoot, right? So they just wanted a scapegoat to show the US, the DAs, that yeah, we on top. See, we now 4 guys, man, and didn't find a drug nor a trace of drug in that guy vehicle, right? And that case is going on today as I speak, going for 4 years. And top it off, my friend cannot leave this country. In fact, cannot even leave this town. You guys gotta be ashamed on yourself to do this to people. That's why I speak the way I speak, because I have the evidence. The bad things that you do to innocent people. Then when things happen to you, you want to know what happened to you forget what you do to people. That is just one example. And there's thousands more. Right? These things got to stop. Pretty soon a lot of you law enforcement officers can't even will be able to walk the street because of the evil things you do. Back to you, Mr. Chairman, and I see the chairman in the back there. I just wanted to get that off my chest too. Who like it, who I could care less. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. I yield to the chairman for the night, Mr. Greg Brackett. You back, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome, sir.
I was in the back here listening to the conversation, but first, let me say good night to the
Good
people
night,
at
Mr.
home and
Chairman. Good
abroad.
night.
I want to thank them for tuning into our show. This is number 277. 277 edition of Belizean Affairs, where we show and we tell. Mr. Wade, I was listening to your conversation, and I can say this to you. There is a lot of cases that has not gone to trial, where the police have done unlawful detainment with no evidence, and we have young men sitting in the prison, some of them on remand for years, and when they finally get to the court, the case is dismissed because they have no evidence, and that is what these people want to call justice has been served, when in reality, what they are doing is classifying some of these young men to some crimes they never had committed,
Truth on that.
and they place a mark on them
Truth on
due to
that.
the lack of investigation through the ignorance used by the system in not going out and doing adequate investigation. To you, Mr. Brackett, you were speaking about the Constitution and the laws that are made, some of them that is inconsistent with our Constitution, that is null and void. I can call out some for you. The Common Assault bill that was passed, that is
Bo, bo,
unconstitutional
bo, bogus.
because when the law was passed, they classify one set of people over another set of people by saying the law is being made to protect consuls and judges and teachers
And ministers and
is
politicians.
unconstitutional because under the Constitution, Section 6 is give us equal protection under the law. We have called that out here in Belizean affair. We have show and tell. Another one that I can call out that we have discussed on more than one occasion is the unconstitutional state of emergency. And we have beat it so the people can know that a state of emergency can only be called per our Constitution, Section 18, when our country is at war, when there is a terrible pestilence like COVID 19, or when we have civil unrest like the overthrow of our government. That is when a state of emergency can go into effect nationwide. But the proof is in the pudding, and we go to the tape because we always say what they tell
Show, we show and tell,
and them
and tell on
still.
themselves.
Let's hear it.
Please, I don't want anybody to misconstrue that I'm saying that we're going to lock them up, no. But if we have to hold them up for 120 days until they could calm down and then go out in society, we are going to do that. Because it is not fair to the people in these neighborhoods that have good, decent, hard working, law abiding citizens that live in fear for these guys when they start out shooting. And then they shoot, and in many instances, the innocent people get hurt. It is not a band-aid. It's a temporary solution for things to calm down. And then we put the Nuri Mohammeds of the world to go and to talk to them and try to find a resolution amongst them. I hate the word state of emergency because it's not us, the entire state, the entire country, but it's a section. So we've been talking with Minister Musa and trying to see if we could come up with a different terminology.
I will stop the tape right there, people at home and abroad,
So the final
because
wake up.
here you have the answer to what we have been saying nights after nights about the unconstitutional state of emergency.
And then
And
you that
here
condemn.
you have it from the Prime Minister's mouth. We also heard they want to change the name, which will be inconsistent to the Constitution. You cannot make no other law that will be null and void. What name can you possibly come up with for a state of emergency to hold these gentlemen when you have been violating their rights? Mr. Brackett, I go to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. The Prime Minister is just trying to play cute by 2 levels above the average person on the street because he knew from the time we've been telling them that a couple of years now that they were wrong, they were violating people's rights, but they didn't give a damn. They just do what they want because they could take people into court or into prison and lock them up, like he said, for 120 days, which is also illegal, by the way. And they know that. But then nobody grabs them and locks them up for the crimes that they are committing against the society. As a matter of fact, they have what you call um, immunity card because they're members of the legislature. Nobody can stop them from going or coming to any part of the country or to interfering with their ability to be at the legislative assembly to carry on the business of the country. But they can derogate people's basic civil rights, as we were discussing earlier, just because they feel like. Because Mr. Musa is a lawyer, and Mr. Musa, before he became a member of the present cabinet, when they were in opposition, he lectured Mr. Dean Barrow, the leader of the government, Prime Minister at the time, and a top lawyer himself. He lectured Mr. Barrow about what was right and what was wrong with how Mr. Barrow was carrying on with the SOEs and other things relating to human rights. But now he's the part of another cabal now, turn around and they do the same thing to people. They talk through both sides of their mouth. Are you back, Mr. Chairman? Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome,
I
sir.
go to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Leonard, for
You're
explaining.
welcome, sir.
And you know, Greg, you said there. I mean, and it's not the first time we showed this, Mr. Chairman. We since these guys have been passing these illegal SOEs, we we show and we inform the nation only when a state of emergency can be called. And you said it again, right? So and these guys, you know, they hurdle in a little can and then come out and say this is the best they can come up with over and over all these illegal SOEs that they have been passing, right? Very illegal, right? But who, again, Mr. Chairman, who hold these guys accountable, right? Who, right? And another thing, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, is that there is already laws, that if you shoot somebody, you kill somebody, there are laws already there to deal with these individuals who commit these crimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that we understand, we hear, we know what they're doing, right? But the wider layperson out there, will never understand. And they run away with the south side again on a state of emergency because of X, Y, and Z, and all the time is X, Y, and Z, right? So every time, nothing new, but all I'm saying is that they should move on to this kind of action. They should move on to these because at the end of the day, There's no good result, Mr. Chairman. No good result on the illegal state of emergencies that they keep on doing. So it seems like all of them in there that goes and hurdle in these meetings that they come up again with, that's the only thing they could come up with. They need to be fired. I mean,
Well,
what are they doing with the taxpayers' money? What are they doing with time? You know, it's not working, Mr. Man, Mr. Briseno. I tell you, sir, we already have laws for these things, for this kind of crime. Move on to something else better that will produce some good ending result so that it never happens again, or if it do happen again, Mr. Chairman, it's minimal. But you see how they treat all the gang members. You see how they classify gang crime. You see how they classify gang when they murder. You see how they classify them, right? All I'm saying is that it's not working. And I'm saying this again, that they are going to do it again. We said it right here on our program before the election. They wanted to do it, But because an election was here, they wanted people to vote. So they didn't want to lock up the lead black boy there. And they want to send them for how much days? 120 days or cool out. No, because that was going to take away their votes. Right? They're not going, they can't go in a jail and pay them at $50 an hour and be too obvious. Well, they don't really care. Right? They wanted to keep this little black boy when they dress up in a blue shirt and red shirt. Right? Then now after election now, they don't get what they wanted. Don't get their votes. Right? So they are working on another illegal SOE, Mr. Chairman. Right? So the little black boy there again, they will see another uh, SOE in the south side again pretty soon. Okay? Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Go
Chairman,
ahead, Mr. Brackett.
thank you. Uh, what the Prime Minister was attempting to do or say, because the truth of the matter is that the man does always opposite of what he speak about and speak opposite of what he always does. So it's nothing strange for me to be saying what I'm saying. That is that he was acknowledging that they were in violation of the Constitution and people's basic civil rights when they were collecting people for belonging to a group that they classified as gangs. And basically, for all intents and purposes, when they say a gang, they don't mean a gang. They mean mischief makers, troublemakers, and they mean scofflaws or people who break the law or people who commit crime. Because our Constitution says that everybody in the country is entitled to belong to a gang, belong to an association, a group, or any organization of their choice. So if they want to talk about people as committing crime as a group or as part of a group, that those crimes that they commit are being aided and abetted from within themselves or in that group, then the police department fits that description. At least the present police department that we are aware of fits that description. They don't want to misuse and abuse the general public. They misuse and abuse themselves or among themselves. They shoot at each other, then fight with each other, then do all manner of craziness to each other. Of course, they are members of the society, and if the society is behaving and abetted to behave in that fashion, then they come from the same society, so they behave the same way the rest of the society behaves. But that's a breaking down of our society. That's not the way it used to be before. Nobody can remember beyond 30 years ago that any police officer was shooting or killing each other, or fighting with each other, or trying to make bad with each other, or sell each other out, you know, or recruit each other. If you go be part of any gang, any part of a organization that's trafficking in drugs. Am I saying something that is not correct? Am I describing an organization that doesn't need or should not be described as committing crimes under the color of law, which then fits the description that they're trying to attribute to what they call a gang? A gang is a group of individuals who is doing wrong, who is committing crimes under the color of law. And then you have the police inspectors them, exculpating them. You have them go to the police commission for them to be sanctioned for some of the deeds that they do, and instead they turn them loose. They exonerate them. So, Mr. Prime Minister, when you are saying that all you want to do is to lock them up for 120 days just to make them cool off, were you happy when your father was locked up because he was accused of doing something wrong? I'm sure that you did not feel like that was right. You did not feel like your father should have been treated that kind of way. Why the hell are you now treating other people the same kind of way? It doesn't make sense. You're so high and mighty now that you have no sense of compassion. You refuse to impress on your police department. Well, at least the commissioner is exiting finally, so he won't be there to take any licks on behalf of the PUP party and government. There will be somebody new. But if that new person continues the same illegal and unconstitutional behavior, then we will have to be shouting and yelling at him as well too. All we are asking for is for people to abide by the rules and the laws and the regulations. Is that too much to ask for? For a professional organization such as our police department, who is supposed to be available to serve the community? Mr. Prime Minister, stop talk craziness, because nowhere in our current constitution you have any authority to just call one bogus state of emergency or any other name you want to call it in order for you to go and arrest people unconstitutionally. It doesn't work like that. You have police powers already. Exercise those police powers. Go and collect the bad man and want to say, oh no. Stop terrorize the rest of the community. Stop throw blanket SOEs or state of emergency on everybody else and affecting other people who's going and coming in their own community. You don't do it in your community in Corozal or Orange Walk. Even though it is up there that the gangs are operating and creating mayhem and killing people and leaving messages and all kind of stuff. You think a $1 million that you send to Corozal long time ago is enough to fight any drug warfare up there, or suppress any of the drug dealings that's going on up there, or stopping any of the people from across the border to come over to try and kill any of the Belizean people that are involved in their drug trade with them? Even police names are being called because they are apparently facilitating some of the movement of these things. They're getting themselves suborned and to these drug dealers, and once you get into the drug dealers and business, it's not easy to come out. You get that money, yes, but you pay the price of that blood money. So, Mr. Prime Minister, please use some consideration as you did in the case of when your dad was arrested for committing crime as was alleged, and realize that just so you never like your father being treated that kind of way, you shouldn't just take no blanket SOE and put over no community and victimize everybody in that community. Haul the butt out there, you and your commissioners them, and go arrest the people that need to be arrested and deal with them, put them at jail, get rid of them out of the society or whatever you need to do. Send in the Salvador, go make Bukele help you take care of them. Okay? Because you can't do in Belize what Bukele is doing in Salvador. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
Continuing on the bastardization of our Constitution, gentlemen, we can also go back as proof of what is happening to our Constitution to when the PCC Act came about and what it was passed into law to do, to educate the people on the Constitution so that in return they can learn it to hold the government accountable. But we find that the PCC Act was also being used unconstitutionally, as though it was the new constitution. And we are well aware here in Belizean affair, and anybody who are learned men and women or educated people should know how laws are made in the assembly, the procedures they go through, the reading they go to become law. And as of today, the PCC Act has never been passed into law as our new constitution. But I want to show how the government has used this act, pretending it to be a new constitution. Let's go to the Attorney General first, who is supposed to protect and serve the people of this country in separation of executive powers. He, also as the Attorney General, was supposed to stand up and protect the redistricting, and he did not do that. But let's hear what he has to say.
So why is the government flouting the referendum law when in regard to Oceana's petition with 22,000 signatures? You last told a reporter you were seeking legal advice, which is cause for great concern because you are the legal advice.
The government is not flouting the referendum law.
It gives no room for delay though, sir.
But you asked the question, allow me to respond. The government is not flouting the referendum law. Yes, so the Attorney General's ministry is the chief legal advisor. So the Attorney General, myself, I don't necessarily sit and draft all opinions. So within the Attorney General's ministry, there are crowns who would research and advise on these matters. I would review their advice, and if the advice is what having regard to my own research, then based on that, then we'd provide the advice. But let me say this: Oceana and the government, we are in discussion.
But the law makes no provision for legal advice. The law does not say if you don't want to do it in 6 weeks, seek legal advice. The law is unequivocal, sir. You are finding a shading of meaning when it suits you, but the law is absolute. It says you shall act in such a way.
Well, this is why the government seeks my legal advice, Jules, and that's your interpretation. But respectfully.
But is there an equivocation in the law that it allows you to seek legal counsel? Does it say that? Does it say you have time to review by the government's lawyer?
What I will say is this: Oceana, lawyers for Oceana and the government, we are in discussion. We don't want to prejudice any discussion that is taking place. But I do believe that within the next week or so, cabinet hasn't. Well, today would have been cabinet. Cabinet will meet next week. I had a meeting with the lawyer for Oceana, Mrs. Jacqueline Marshall, Senior Counsel, on Friday. We'll receive some indication as it relates to a way forward a proposal. Well, in turn, that will be submitted for cabinet. So next week we'll be able to give some definitive answer as it relates to
But
that.
you guys are frustrating a democratic process.
No, we are not. We are not. We are not. We are having a discussion. We are having negotiations with Oceana.
But the law doesn't make provision for that. Either you certify the signatures or you decertify them. Where are you all finding the room to do all of this background negotiation? I'm saying either the law is an ass or it is obeyed.
That is your interpretation, and respectfully, we disagree. The government disagrees.
But I'm reading the law, sir. You are reading from some other book, from the executive playbook of how we do things.
No, Jules. Respectfully, you read the law. You've interpreted the law. There are different laws at play here, and the Referendum Act and the People's Constitution Act. So, as you will appreciate, the People's Constitution Act also speaks to a referendum, and a referendum after the whole consultation process with respect to the Constitution. Again, I don't want to prejudice any particular discussion or that we are having at Oceana, but suffice it to say that there is an interplay.
Gentlemen, there you go. The PCC Act also having a referendum act. Amazing.
And he is deferring to that PCC instead of deferring to the Constitution. You can only have one Constitution at a time. So whatever is it that
Right.
they were trying to get that PCC to do for them.
But it goes further than that. So let's continue to hear it.
I don't think it's a matter of willfully ignoring it, but we felt that since we already have the People's Constitutional Commission ongoing right now, that would be the best place to be able to address it through the PCC, since they were asking even for the amendment of the Constitution. So we felt that it would have been best to do that. But what we've done as a compromise with them, we're working on an amendment, basically, as what we did with the marijuana issue, that whenever, should the day come that we want to do any kind of exploration in the sea or the ocean, it depends on, which one you want to take, that then we will then have a referendum. I've not seen the exact wording, but pretty much that's what the Attorney General just briefly shared with me, and I think probably next cabinet next week, he will then bring the actual proposal and the wording.
Is this a rule of law issue, though? Because I know your government, on the side, Musa is the one who first implemented this referendum legislation, and the law does not make a provision for a review, as you all are doing, and make we look point another way. The law says within X number of days, a referendum is triggered if the signatures are certified. You all are playing with the law, it would appear.
Absolutely not. It just so happened that at this moment, we have appointed by law, voted in National Assembly, the People's Constitutional Commission. And so we felt, why go through that? Why spend millions of dollars in a referendum when the People's Constitutional Commission, the commission is going around countrywide getting recommendations from the different groups of people, different communities, and I hope that within a year's time, I think they have probably at least another 6 months, they can come up with a bunch of recommendations to myself as the Prime Minister as to the way going forward. So I think it was just the opportune time. It's just a matter of timing, and that this is happening at the same time. Obviously, if the PCC was not in effect at that moment, then the law is the law. We'll probably have to go ahead with the referendum.
So the PCC trumps the law.
That is what he's saying. Executive
An
powers
idiot of
rule.
the first degree. Trying to be slick.
Mr. Wade, I go to you.
I don't know where to begin when we show and tell the action of these guys, because especially that guy there, the prime minister of this country, uh, Johnny Briceño. Nothing that that guy says, Mr. Chairman, for me, make any sense at all, right? Because you know he says one thing and means something else. He says one thing and there are completely different 190-degree things happening around him. But he's saying this, but it's not what's happening around him, right? So the guy is a bamboozler, and for me, he's a very liar guy. Then we can't believe Croy all time. The man liar. He lies too much. Till he believes is his lies. He believes his lies, right? And his minions that follows him believes his lies too. You know, it's plain to see how they trying to bastardize the Constitution. It's plain to see their intention for those who are focusing right on the way they tell on themselves, the way they do things. We could see their intention, what is their agenda, based on the things that they do, right? And the things that they say, right? So I say, when is this guy going to come clean to the Belizean people? And he has his attorney general there. He made him, he gave him that job. So all I'm saying is that, he cannot bite the hands that feeds him. Although he knows that he's lying too, and whatever he's saying doesn't make any sense at all, but he has to protect the man that hires him, not the man that is paying him, because he's not been paid by Johnny Briceño and the PUP. He's been paid by the taxpayers. Taxpayers pays him. But you see how they all gravitate. All of them gravitate to mischief. None of them gravitate to do the right thing. That will uplift the people and uplift the country and do right by people, the right things. Right? So, this is just not happening now, Mr. Chairman. Past and present government, they do pretty much the same things to the country and the people, right? So, on that note, nothing at all that comes out of Mr. Johnny Briceño, the Prime Minister of Belize. Nothing that comes out of his mouth, I believe, Mr. Chairman. That's only me. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. There's many things we can speak about when it comes to what was presented here in Belizean Affairs, about what is happening in the country. I can go back to the Portico affair. I can go back to the Senate hearing and how it was stalwart. It never did make it through the House because the House got dissolved. I can recall how they keep saying there is nothing to hide, the government have nothing to hide. I can recall the public wanted to know, and in the Senate hearing, they wanted to know who presented the legislation in the House,
Mhm.
and we seems not to be able to get that answer until the House was dissolved, and that just went to sleep
That
beneath
deserves
the
too.
table.
And
But
we still can't get the referendum. I mean, not the referendum. The Section 90 issue dealt with either. One of many others that we haven't pointed out yet. But that's how
But
these guys operate. They're a bunch of
but
scoundrels.
I'm saying this to say that here in Belizean affairs, we always show and tell, and I've always said that these people tell on themselves. And the question about who presented the legislation in the House, many thought that it went unanswered, but it have not gone unanswered because it was answered a long time before the Senate hearing. And just to refresh the memory of the people at home and abroad, let's go to the tape, gentlemen. I want you to listen to the first part of the tape and what is said about legislation.
Well, the protocol legislation, well, presently I think they're still working on it and to see what what can be done to be able to present to cabinet.
What's being done is this.
I stopped the tape right there because you heard it. The protocol legislation, they are working on it to see what can be presented to cabinet. So it's undeniable that we know how it got to the House and who was trying to push it. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The political issue, as I previously stipulated, is the PM's BAB. But since he went ahead, or since he was having difficulty with that stillbirth baby, he decided to went ahead and use the government's powers, which was in his back pocket, to take Mr. Feinstein project and sell it to his buddies, which to me, as far as I'm concerned, must have yielded him a lot better outcome than this one stillbirth protocol baby. Because had they gone ahead with that protocol thing and given all those years of tax breaks and all kind of thing, you don't have to give that now to protocol because protocol, for all intents and purposes, is rattening in, where it was stillbirth. But the same things that they was going to give to protocol, they are now looking to give to this next company. So they must be getting a better deal from this company than they were going to be getting out of their own project at protocol. So imagine really what the issues are and how stink the canals are compared to what we knew them to be or what we think they are. Something stinks in Belize. All the way out to the Keys. It's not just the canals anymore. Big money is being moved around on those projects. And if they are willing to let their own baby not even get buried properly, just because they're running off to the next big thing in town, then there must be some benefits for them. I mean, hyenas operate like that, right? Vultures operate like that. Vampires operate like that. There are some snakes that operate like that. And you say probably some small blue conchas operate like that. But at the end of the day, these guys are a bunch of jackals who play everybody for suckers and fools. But one of these days when I go abroad on some of these trips, it won't happen like it happened to his dad. He will not be able to get back to Belize because DA and others will nab their butt. They think they are cute. Time will tell. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wade,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In respect to that Portico situation, right? It's public knowledge to see where it originated. The first people that were the players, and you see how it winds down and winds up to the People's United Party players, and you see how many people involved, and you see all the other deals, and then so sadly, the bottom line is that what they're playing with, they're playing with the people's patrimony, right? That's what they're playing with. Playing it to see how much they can physically get out of it. In the type of physically, whose name is going to be where, and how much money this one is going to get, and that one is going to get. And they went to the bigger dealer, and they end up with a bigger dealer. And then while they settle with the other guy and say, you know what, we'll settle you with this, and it's all, and then they settle with another guy until they get this bigger dealer from Honduras, big firm from Honduras next door. Imagine the amount of players that's in that deal. The bottom line is, who did they use to get that deal finalized and everything? They use it in the name of the Belizean people.
Eminent domain.
So I say this to say that which one of these poor individuals is going to profit or get some tax back or get something back, or could go there and use this facility, because remember, they use it in the name of for the people. Simple like that, for the Belizean people, right? Do you think that the Belizean people could go there without spending any money to go there? Public interest. That's pretty much what they're doing, because the public have interest in this. And we're going to do this deal because it's going to benefit the public. Man, how you could stoop that low, Mr. Man? Huh? And sadly, the end of the day, you see how these people bamboozle the Belizean patrimony, namely with Belizean natural resources. Belize natural resources is being put out there for the highest bidder, so that the last UDP party got rich on it. Belize on natural resources. So this one again will get rich, and how much more we will left back? And this party here, this People's United Party here, could imagine the amount of time whenever they get in power, they sell out. They get rich off of our natural resources. As I speak, you know the amount of ministers involved in land deals?
All of them.
Right? And they're selling it for
no exception.
They're selling out prime location as I speak. I will not call their names, but they didn't use their name, Mr. So-and-so. No. They have a shell. You know the eggshell? Yes, they uses somebody else. They uses somebody else to run that entity. But where do the money go? To these ministers, PUP ministers. I will not call names, so don't try to sue me because I did not call any names. But sooner or later, we will know who they are. Because we will bring the evidence to show you. Look at the name here. Pretty soon, these are the kind of people And yet you have them in government before, oh yeah, we fight for the Belizean people and this, oh yeah, we don't like how to do it to poor people, and we love the poor people, and we love this, and we love bull crap. Stop to that. You
Mr.
are all sinning.
Mr. Wade, if I may, there's two things that has to be done in the Constitution reform. The first one is people at home and abroad. We don't want to have no more secret agreements with no foreign investors. Number two, we want our governments to stop selling our patrimony, which is our land, to foreign investors. If they want to do business, they can come and lease, but they cannot purchase. Those are two things we should have in the Constitution reform. I will tell you why.
Uh, Greg,
Go
Greg,
ahead, Mr.
just
Brackett.
before we move forward, I would not allow myself to be hoodwinked by these people to give the impression that I, one person, Leonard Brackett, would be interested in encouraging them or helping them to modify our constitution the way they are contemplating to do it, because it will not be done to our advantage or our benefit or well-being. So I'm not interested personally in aiding and abetting them making a constitution reform, because what they're after is not what we, the people of the country, need for them to go after. That is
Miss,
to render us better governance.
Mr. Brackett, if I may,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry for interrupting that much.
don't get me wrong when I say that is what should be placed in it, because I'm not speaking about the basic structure. I'm speaking about the super majority they have to create those laws against themselves.
They're entitled to that as of right now. They are entitled to
Not
that as
to
of right now.
violate
They
our
have the right to
fundamental
that.
rights. But I'm saying this to say, on a serious note, people at home and abroad, we're in a new era, one that is threatened by tariffs, one that is threatened with inflation due to wars, and one that is running our small businesses out because our government continue to give away concession to importers and foreign investors, foreign company. And when they do that, the taxes fall back on our local Belizeans, on our local Belizean business. And even though the government claim that they will not tax the local people, that is exactly what they are doing every time consecutively. And I will show and tell
Uh,
and prove it tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
every tariff is a tax. People need to understand that. It's a basic premise. A tariff is a tax, and that tax is not levied against the rich people who keep their money in a bank or investment. It's against people who have to live from day to day and survive and spend whatever little money they get from day to day. It's not against people who have money where they could set aside. People where they buy cars, where they buy gas, where they buy food, clothes, shoes, and tariff does not. Okay, another thing, tariff is how the government enriches itself or get money to pay for its bills. Tariff and tax are one and the same intended objective and outcome.
Thank you,
As
Mr.
simple as that.
Brackett.
You're
But
welcome,
let
sir.
me say this. Belize import more than it export. 10% will be placed on all export from Belize. Now imagine that with the present inflation coming in and the tariff war. But I'm saying this to say to the people at home and abroad, the importers will have no cost. The cost will come on you, the Belizean people. As I am speaking here tonight, go check the stores. Items are already jumping from 25 to 50 cents to a dollar. Go
On the
check the store.
and that is not new stock. That is the old stock that is being repriced. Okay,
That
I
is
think people are paying
correct.
attention.
So, as I was saying earlier, the government has said it will not tax the local people, the little peddler and his bicycle cart selling fruits and all that.
That's a lie.
And
Don't
I
touch the mic.
want to go back to the tape to clarify it.
It was in the Prime Minister's presentation on the budget, Madam President, that he said there's no taxes in this one. But what is this, Madam President, if it's not a tax? A tax on the poor people with the already high cost of living. When you resort to taxing the peddlers, then you know something is very, very wrong. All the peddlers will do is to add that tax onto their cost, and the cost of living keeps going up. Panelists gone up when I bite last week. I couldn't share it. But, Madam President, within the concept of taxation, it is always there where some levels of exemptions are provided, some categories. Because when you look at the peddlers and you look at the small man, it is very burdensome on any administration to manage that.
The intention of this legislation is to empower the local government, both at the town and city level, as well as the village level. Additionally, the intention is to give.
I stopped the tape, people at home and abroad, because that is phony baloney. And I will tell you why. Just look at the news and see what is happening in Belmopan to the market. And you heard what the mayor said. Each and every individual there who are small peddlers that have a space has to get a trade license. So you can judge for yourself. Mr. Brackett, I go to you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir. The general idea that Mr. Unelected one, Even Courtney, was trying to convey is not what the truth was. The truth was that the government continues to collect all the relevant taxes as they have always collected, but they don't want to give the subventions that they have always give to the cities, towns, and villages or other municipalities or other groups. What they want is for them to collect what they have been collecting and keep it to themselves and do whatever else they want to do, while they empower these other entities to make their own hustle, which means that these entities are going to come back to the same tax base, that is the population of the country, and get double dipping. Because the government going to be collecting its regular taxes, which they will not give that up so that the other people could collect it. They will keep on collecting that. But they are now granting powers for these other groups to collect their own taxes, which means that the same source they are collecting this tax from, both at the local and at the government level, and that is you, the people of Belize. You are the new suckers. So, Mr.
That
President, I'm going to tell
is
you that
why I said, Mr.
I just
Brackett,
did.
look at what is happening to Belmopan. It's the local little farmers that is in that market that they want to collect. They want them to pay for a trade license. Imagine some of these people only go to the market couple days, not every day, to take their little produce. So this is where the proof is in the pudding.
The
Mr.
man,
Wade, I go to
wait,
you for your
one
comment.
last statement. But the minister turned around and said that it wasn't to victimize or penalize the small operators. So they're talking out both sides of their mouth. I yield back, Mr. Thank you very much, Mr.
Mr.
Wade.
Brackett, has the budget been read yet?
No, and it won't be read for another month and a half.
And
And
you
when
know
it's
why?
and when it's read, it's not going to be perfected to such a point where they don't come back for additional subvention or additional money as they do every month. So they could only read the budget and came back again for other money later on. They're taking us back
Tonight,
to a bunch of fools.
tonight's show is not for what I want to say, but I want to say this. For those of you before election who the government has told the Belize dollar is pegged to the US dollar and it won't lose value, I just want you to recall, start thinking about it. It's a good time to think about it and what the Belizean budget will be. If you believe the super bun was bad, wait until you hear this budget. Mr. Wade, I go to you for your speech and the closing.
Right on the money there, Mr. Chairman. And Leonard, and I just hope that I just hope that the Belizean people are vexed with on self, because you all gave them that mandate. You all gave them that power to be doing to know what they do to know now. They're not vexed with nobody. And me see this they happen from before. I don't know God and talk about it like we always says here on this program. They show and tell. Then they tell on themselves. We show it and where they tell on themselves. Right? So you see this signal from way back. But yet, they lie to again. Oh yeah, everything will just work for where everything will be alright. So you get it again. Right? So live with it for the next 5 years. That's all I could say on that. And it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Chairman and Leonard.
Pleasure is ours
I
too,
just
sir.
hope that, tonight's shows, Mr. Chairman, tonight's show, shed some light and give some people a different perspective and, a little bit more understanding what's going on in the country. And to those, Mr. Chairman, that support us, I don't know if you want to do a quick reading, 1 minute of any person that sent in any text. Maybe not all, but maybe a couple of them, if you could see.
There is no text that I can see at the
Okay,
moment,
okay.
but still we want to thank them for
Thank them.
contributing
Yes,
to our show.
thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Wade, you can finish the
Yes, it's
closing.
always a pleasure, and we welcome the text, and we appreciate all those people who tune into our program, and we appreciate, and we appreciate all those who share our program from the heart.
Ms. Rubina,
And
Ms. Rubina Forte, uh, says good night. Good night, all.
good night.
Good
And
night, Ms.
thanks
Rubina.
from the heart. Continue to support us in terms of sharing our program. Because we here on this program, my people, we do not get paid. They don't pay we, right? We don't do this. The government not give you only how they kind of subvention thing, a subvention.
Uh-huh.
Right? We don't get that. We don't like the other media houses we get the lead perk. That's
Maybe
why
one of these, maybe one of
they
these days,
seal.
Mr. Wade, maybe one of these days they have one lead land, you know?
Thank
You
you,
see?
gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's
With
always
that
a
said,
pleasure.
good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. We thank you for tuning in to this, our 277th edition
You know, half
of
we want a piece of land to chop
Belizean
down with the door.
Affairs. Good night to one and all.